'Twas the night before Thanksgiving, and I don't know if anybody's going to show up tonight. So I assume I'm the only one, not the only one, that is cooking and cleaning and preparing for tomorrow. But I didn't want to leave you all hanging, so I'm just gonna do a quick math problem or two, unless somebody pops on. But since I mean, obviously not really. Okay, let's just be honest. I don't get dressed in general for these things. But I figured as long as it's Wednesday, I was at home, I would do one for you. So let me think about this. What could I do math-wise? If anybody has a suggestion, if you are watching via YouTube or Facebook and you want me to do something in particular, let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna do, hmm. What do I want to do? I think I want to do a hmm I probably should have thought about this before I went to live. But hey, it's an emergency. What am I cooking? Hey, Wendy, I'm doing the lima beans, or they're like butter beans if you're from the South. Square foot calculations. Well, great, Wendy, since you're here with me, I would love to do square foot calculations. Let me find some. Thank you for, giving me a suggestion because I was like, I don't know. Let me find some square foot calculations. Do. I just have to find one. And here we go. Yay. Yay. So let me share my screen. I'm just happy you're here. And sharing screen. Where's my share screen thing? More. Share. Are you doing some cookie, Wendy? Tell me if anybody's listening and you're doing cooking. Let me know what you all are doing. All right, here, share sound, iPhone there, and boom, I think this should work. We'll see. We shall see. Are you all able to see this? No. Ugh. Okay. Let's try this again. I swear, every time I restart my computer, hey, Maria, yay, you're here too. Yay. All right, we'll try the share again to see if it works. Oh, come on, stupid thing. Trying the share. Here. Sharing. There we go. It just needed to get its life together. I understand. I need to get my life together, apparently. So, square foot calculations. Square foot Salvadorian chicken. That sounds delicious, and I am so jealous. So jealous. All right, so let's try number 21. I've done things like this before, but you know what? It doesn't hurt. So, a triangular lot with a height of 225 feet and a width of 94 feet sold for $17 per square foot. What was the purchase price of the lot? Now, I'm going to assume that somebody's going to be watching this that's like, I don't remember how to do area because there's always, it's been a while. It has been a while. So, just as a review, I'll put it up here. If you are finding area, boop. If you are finding area of a square or a rectangle, then area is equal to the length times the width, right? And usually we'll say this is the length, or sometimes you'll say it's the depth, how deep it goes. And then the width, you want to pretend like this is road frontage, like there's a road frontage, and that's the width. All right. Now, if you're trying to find the area of a triangle, we're always going to assume they're right triangles in this class, and that means you can assume this is a right angle, and you're going to take the area is equal to the length times the width, but then you're going to divide that by 2. So that's how you do that math. You got to know length times width and then, divide by 2. So I like to draw my area problems out. A triangular lot with a width of 225, I'm sorry, a height of 225 and a width of 94 feet. So I know it's not very wide, but it is very tall, and it's a weird shape, kind of like this. Doesn't really matter which one you choose as width and height and depth, all of those things for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's 225 feet deep. And because I have just the one, like if I did 225 and then I have this little thing right there, remember that's feet. And if it was 5 inches, I would have the double thing. So it's 225 feet deep, and it's got 94 feet as the width. So again, pretend this is like the road or the water or whatever you got going on there, right? So if area is equal to length times width, and then you divide that by 2, we'll find the area, this number of square feet, and then we can multiply that by 17. So we're going to do 225 feet by 94 feet, and that's going to give me, where's my calculator? 200. Turn it on, Candace, that helps. There we go. 225 times 94. If I mathed right, that gave me 21,150 square feet. But remember, I got to divide by 2. So then I'm going to take that and divide it by 2. Whenever you have something in fraction form, you are dividing. Like a fraction is a dividing sign, because if you put 1/2 in your calculator, 1 divided by 2, you're going to get 0.5. So could I have written this divided by 2? Yes, but just by putting it on the fraction, that is the top of the fraction. I'm telling, hey, this is how you divide. So 21,150 divided by 2 gives us 10,575 square feet. That's not the answer, though. Remember, it's asking us for the purchase price. Will that probably be an answer choice on your exam? Absolutely. Would you maybe check it? I know I would. If I was not paying attention, I would so fall for that every time. I'd be like, ooh, 10,575. I got that number. But that's not what they were asking. They want to know the price, the total price. So I'm going to take this number, and I know it's $17 for each one of those square feet. So I'm going to do times 17, and that is 179,775. $179,775, unless I messed it up somehow, but I don't think I did. I think we are good on that one. Right? So this one was how we did per square foot. An offshoot of this problem would have been, sometimes they would have said, if it was, instead of saying it was $17 per square foot, they might say it's, I don't know, $40,000 per acre. And I wanted to show this to you. Even though I'm writing it in, I want to show it to you because it's a very common thing. Instead of saying, oh, it's $17 per square foot, they could have said, what was the cost if it's $40,000 per acre? Again, making this up off the top of my head. So what I would do is I would need to say, well, this is our total square feet, and we need to know how many acres. How many acres are 10,575 square feet? Now we know there's the magic number. Oh, I didn't wear my 43,560 t-shirt. Love that t-shirt. But we know there are 43,560 square feet in an acre. So at 10,000, I'm thinking it's about a quarter of an acre, no matter how I do my math. If there's 40,000-ish in an acre and I've got 10,000-ish, whatever I do math-wise, I'm talking about basically a quarter of an acre. So I'm going to say, hey, if I take the 10,575 and I divide it by 43,560, that's going to tell me how many acres I have. Now, sometimes you all are like, well, how do I know which number goes in first? Do I multiply? Do I divide? I like to break it down to donuts. I know that sounds crazy, but if I had told you, hey, for Thanksgiving, y'all, I bought 89 donuts from the store for Thanksgiving for this Thanksgiving donut treat. I don't know. And I said, well, how many dozen was that, Candace? What would you do? You would take the 89 donuts and you divide it by 12 because there's 12 in a dozen, right? This is how many in are a group. A dozen is a group of 12. There's 12 individual units in the group. We happen to call that group a dozen. When we talk about square feet, we're saying, hey, there's a group of 43,560 feet that we call an acre. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking the number of donuts and dividing it by the group, except this time it's the number of square feet divided by 43,560 because that's the number of square feet in an acre. Just like if I said, hey, I bought 6 donuts. How many dozen is that, Candace? I would do 6 divided by 12, which is going to give me zero point 0.5, right? Because that's half a dozen. If I took 12 and divided it by 6, that would give me 2. And you and I both know 6 dozen or 6 is not a 2 dozen anything. I mean, unless it's a Krispy Kreme. Okay, no, I can finish off 6 Krispy Kreme. I might be sick violently because it's so sweet, but I can finish off 6 donuts if I tried. 2 dozen? It's not happening, Captain. It's not happening. I would make a valiant effort. If it was 12 pieces of cheesecake, 24 pieces of cheesecake, I would try real hard because I love cheesecake. But having said that, we're going to do our math. 10,575 divided by 43,560. So 10,575 divided by 43,560 gives me 0.24. Gives me like 2.2427 da 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 da. So I'm just gonna round it to 0.24. There are 0.24 acres here because remember I changed the problem. So I could do 0.24 acres times 40,000 and that would be clear my calculator. 0.24 times 40,000 equals $9,600. There you go. So, Wendy, I don't know if that was the type of problem you were looking for or for anybody, but I'm hoping that helped, right? And you know, I'm here because I want your questions. So, if you have questions, let me know. But why don't I go through and why don't we walk through number 22? Just because it's not going to hurt. It's all area. But again, if somebody wants me to do something besides area, let me know. And hey, Tricks. Attractive land is 600 feet wide by 485 feet deep. It has recently been rezoned to allow for residential use. An agent has estimated the land to be worth $60,000 per acre as residential acreage. What is the total value of the property? Well, good. Yay, I'm glad that did help, Wendy. Yay. We'll just do this one too. Do it together. I always like to draw out my area problems. So it doesn't have to be to us to, what do you call it, to scale. So we got something that's 600 feet wide, boop, and it's 485 feet deep. That's how deep it's going. So this is our length and that's our width. So I can go ahead and say 600 times 485 will give me the number of total square feet. 600 times 485 gives me 291,000 square feet. How do we figure out how many acres are there? We got our magic number. 291 divided by four old ladies going 35 when they should be going 60. Do 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 do. Okay, so that's gonna give me, now I could look at it. If there's 43,000 in 1 acre, 2 acres would be like 80,000, right? So 4 acres would be like 160,000. So we're talking it's got to be more than 4 acres, maybe six or so. I don't know. What six would make it like 40 times six would be what, 240,000. So it's got to be 6 or 7 acres ish, right? So whatever my math is, hopefully that works out that way. 291 divided by 43,560 equals 6.68 acres. Well, that's not too bad there. 6.68 acres. I'm going to take that and multiply it. 6.68 acres times $60,000. 6.68 times 60,000 equals, this person paid $400,800. Final answer. So, hey, Mary, I emailed you. It has been crazy around here, but yes, I'm glad you're here and we will get you. I'm in the Zoom room too, so you can always join me in the Zoom room. But there's that. What else? What was I gonna do? Oh, by the way, that's how my brain works. And we all know my brain is not the standard by which you want to live your life, because if my brain is the standard, we are all in trouble. There are some people's brains who don't look at this problem and want to do it this way. Some people say, well, if you know the total square feet, why don't you figure out the price per square foot? And then say, if I know how much it is per square foot, treat this problem more like this one, where we had, oh, it's $17 per square foot. You can totally do that, right? Your answers, because the rounding might be a little, I mean, that's just how it works. But if I wanted to do it that way, there's nothing wrong with that. I have friends that would say, hey, why don't I take this $60,000 and divide it by 43,560? Because you're saying, well, how many, that if it's $60,000 for 43 of something, 43,000 of something, if you divide it by 43,000, then you would know how much it is per square foot. Just like going back to the donuts, if I told you I paid $75 um, for for each donut, for if I bought $75 worth of donuts and I paid um what am I trying to say? And I want to know how many dozen, if I divide by 12, how much did I pay per dozen? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah, that would go. Hey, Caroline. So what we're gonna do, $60,000 divided by 43,560. That's gonna tell me how much I have per square foot. See what happens when I try to think of donuts. My brain just gets all like, ooh, I want a donut. Divided by 43,560 equals 1.377. So I'm gonna call that $1.38. It's a dollar. Hey, Mary, it's $1.38 per square foot. So I could say, hey, $1.38 times 291,000. Right? So $1.38 times 291,000. The problem with doing these things live and making things up off the top of my head is, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I just did this wrong? But let's see. So this one came out to 401,580. Now, I rounded here and, I rounded in different places, but close enough. Close enough, right? They're probably not going to have this answer and this answer. If you ever are like, hey, oh, you're picturing a T-bar. Yes, you could T-bar this. You could. You could T-bar this. So our T-bar would be, well, our rate would be like $1.3377 times the number of square feet. You could T-bar that, and that would give you how much you pay. Just depends. All right. Let's do number 23, shall we? A triangular shaped lot. I feel like we just did this one. Oh, no, it's similar. I had to read it. A triangular shaped lot has road frontage of 500 feet and 620 feet. Our last one was, I was like, didn't we just do this? This one had 225 feet and 94 feet. Okay, I'm with you. I'm making sure I wasn't crazy. I am, although not for this reason. So we got this triangular shaped lot that's got a depth of 620. It's got a width of 500. We make our connecting line. We know it's a right triangle. This would be our road. Drawn it out. The owner agrees to sell the lot for $8,000 per acre. Okay. How much money per front foot will the owner receive if he sells the lot successfully? So what we first have to do is figure out how much he sold it for in general. But then we base it off of the number of square feet down here. So first, let's find a total price. If it's per acre, I'm going to take the 620 times 500. And that's going to give me 310,000 square feet. Okay. We know it's $8,000 per acre. So let's figure out how many acres that is. I'm going to take 310,000 divided by 43,560, which is 7.1. It's 711. 7.11. I'm just going to keep it 711, even though it's 7.116, blah, 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 blah. But I just like 711. So there's 7.11 acres, and we know it's $8,000 per acre. So clear 7.11 times $8,000, which is going to be 56,880. Wheeler, what? Oh, you passed the exam on Saturday and the state and the national. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Yay! I have to stop this problem for a second because you have earned what I know that you are looking for, which is, I think I shared my sound, but let me know.
Good job, good job. Good job, good job. G-double-O-D-J-O-B. Good job, good job.
Hey, I love that. And
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure.
I love that for you. Oh, every time somebody tells me I help them get a license, I'm like, that makes me so happy. This is why I do it. Oh, yes. And I saw someplace that like one of the real estate schools is going to start charging like $49 an hour for you all to go and sit in one of these. I was like, what? I mean, for a group activity, something I'm giving away free? Absolutely not. So Wheeler, I love it. I hope you have huge plans. And again, I've been telling everybody, once you get started, come back and let me know like what questions you have, because those kinds of questions people are going to have, like, how do I get started with this? Or my coach said to do that, or I don't even know where to go. Come back towards the end of the hour and just ask them, because that's what I'm here for. I just want to be helpful. Yay, that makes me so happy. That's a great Thanksgiving gift. Thanks. All right. Yes, I cannot wait to do that for everybody. All right, back to the problem, although you all know I'm very much like squirrel. So we know there were 7.11 acres at $8,000 per acre, gave us a total of $56,880. That was the total paid. Now we're saying, well, how does that compare to the number of front feet? The number of front feet that we've got here. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, I'm going to take this 56,880 and divide it by 500 because there's 500 front feet. There's 500 front feet. So each foot, if you paid a total of $56,000, how much are you paying for each foot of this little bloop, 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 bloop? How much per foot? Now, obviously, I wouldn't get 500 that way, but you get the point. So 56,880 divided by 500 gives us 113.76. Doot. This person paid $113.76. Why is this important? Well, because think about it. If this was water, and this one was 500 square feet, or sorry, 500 feet wide, and then you had something next door that was really deep back, but was only 75 feet wide, you're going to pay a lot more. Like when you look at that, even if it was the same amount of area, you sometimes pay more for having this water frontage or road frontage. So this is something that you need to know and that you need to understand. So there you go. All right, that was our area. And I started today saying I wasn't even sure if anybody was going to show up and watch. So I was going to maybe do some math. Is there any other type of math problem somebody would like me to do, or any topics that you want me to talk about? Mary, you included. I know you're here with me in the Zoom room. Oh, and that I won't be here Friday, y'all. I will not be here Friday. I have been planning a cousin's weekend for I'm spending time with the family. I won't be here Friday, but I might pop on Saturday and Sunday. You never know. You never know, but no Friday. Enjoy your Black Friday. Go shopping, go buy stuff, or study if you have your test coming up. But either way. So, is there anything else somebody would like me to go over? It could be math. It could be anything. We'll call this the Ask Candace. Oh my gosh, somebody should totally give me a gossip, like a advice column. I might end you up in jail or broke, but it would be so much fun. Unless it was real estate coaching, in that case, I'd have you. I deserve family time. Do I, Tricks? You're making a pretty big assumption that I like my family. No, I do love my family. I am going to spend some daddy time because you all know I love my dad. You know I love my daddy. Well, I will say this, if nobody has an idea, I want you all to tell you some hacks for the test or hacks for real estate and how to be successful. But I will say this while you're answering that, Tricks. Tricks said, tell us some hacks. I was at my best friend's house, and her parents were refinancing, and it was so helpful to help them. And because I understand mortgages, to help them understand what the guy was talking about. And I say that because, I love helping everybody get licensed, but I know the reality of the situation is not everybody's going to stay in real estate. But if I can teach you, or any real estate instructor can teach you something that you can use in your everyday life, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. I deserve good food and good company. Oh, I got the good food. I got the rum cake from Honey Baked Ham. I'm so friggin' excited. So friggin' excited. All right, some math hacks that I would tell you. I got some math hacks for you. Let's see. My first math hack would be, we got our math hacks. Number 1, neatness counts. I know that does not seem, oh, thanks, Miss Caroline. I know it doesn't seem like that's what we need, but why is there a red line? That's okay. I think it's here. I was like, I don't know where that red line came from, but I think I can fix it, annotate, and delete, hair drawings. There we go. I say neatness counts because sometimes what I see happen is people will have problems like, we just did these problems. And I tried to like notice I labeled and I labeled and I labeled. I try to say neatness counts because sometimes when you go back to your notes, you need to know what is this number I used and why did I need it? Right? Like neatness counts. If you all could see the math the way I used to do my math, it was just all over the place. And then I'd go back and I'd be like, well, what's this number and why did I do it? I think it's a stupid thing. Like when it sounds stupid, but it's so important. Neatness counts because the whole point of making notes, 99% of making notes is so that when you go back to read them, you can like, oh yeah. But if you don't know where the number came from, then it ain't helping you. So that's my first hack. I think that's so important. My second hack is to be confident. I know you're like, okay, Candace, that's not really, but it's true. If you let this math psych you out, it's going to ruin everything. Most states, you could get every single math problem wrong and still pass the exam. Now, you better do a like really good, unless you're in Cali and you have no math, really good job on the math, but don't let it psych you out. There's some math that that you know. Like, I know you can do commissions. I mean, that right there, boom. If you can learn commissions, if you could learn LTV, if you could just learn even net to seller, if you just mastered those three. Oh, and points. Let's add points. Master these four. If you could master those four, if that's 4 points, boom. In most states, you're only going to have between 8 and 12 math problems anyway. That's half the math. So be confident in them. If you are getting to one of those problems where you got like the 28, 36 debt to income ratio, and you're like, I don't even know, right? Or if you're looking at the amortization schedule with factors and you're like, I don't know and I don't care. Cool, I understand. Don't freak yourself out about it, right? And then my third hack would be practice, practice, practice. I know, doesn't really seem like like a hack, but even if all you do is just go back and do the same problems over and over, you'll start to recognize them. So like if your school, even if you went back to like anything I've done and you looked at old problems, there's only so many ways to skin a cat. Is that the saying? Is that even the saying? There's only so many ways to skin a cat. But either way, you know what I mean. There's only so many ways they can ask you this math. There's only so many ways that they can ask you about joint tenancy and everything else. So when you practice, sometimes, eventually, not even sometimes, eventually it's all going to seem familiar. You're like, oh, that question. They might have changed the numbers, but it's that question. So I would say those are my top 3 hacks, right? Top 3 hacks are going to be neatness counts. So that when you make notes, you can go back to them. Be confident. And why not learn how to do these 4 problems? Look, as my student, if you were like, hey, I'm not doing all this math. If you just learned how to do those 4 problems, cool. And then just practice so that you recognize which time to do which one of those things. You're gonna be just fine. Right? All right. Anything else you want me to cover? Anything else I can cover specifically? That was a great question, though. Good. I don't, Tricks, I don't know if that answers what you wanted, but it's my answer I got for you. Is there any other topic I can talk about, or I could just do some questions? Y'all tell me, what do you need from me? You'll focus on those 3? Yes, Tricks. Yes. Well, 4. I want you to do commissions, LTV, net to seller. I think I said 3, and points. Here, let me write them one more time, but so that you can find them easily. That was commissions, loan to value, like discount points and net to seller problems. Those are my top four. You just master those. I'm cool. I'm cool. You just want to get over math. I understand. I completely understand. All right. Well, then, since I said these were what was most important, what if we do a points problem? Let's see what I got. Let's see what I got in my arsenal here. Taxes, profit and loss. Sorry to make you sit next to seller. Here's one. Let's do it. What must Nicholas sell his home for if he wishes to receive $215,000 after paying off his current mortgage balance of $184,750, $4,500 in seller pay closing costs, and a 7.5% commission? You just want to pass, girl, tricks. D is for diploma. We are just trying to get to the passing point. It's fine. So what we know here is if this seller wants to make enough money, he doesn't want to just break even. He wants to walk away and have money in his pocket, right? Because if he were to break even, breaking even would be he'd have to get the $215,000 back for, oh, sorry, I don't even want the 215. Break even would be, hey, he sells it for the 184,750. He gets the $4,500 and he pays out that 7.5% commission. He just needs to cover these costs and he won't be in the negative. But what this problem is saying is he wants to do more than break even. He wants to make some money. This guy wants to walk away with $215,000 in his pocket. Plus, he's got to pay off the 184,750. Plus, he's got to pay the $4,500. Plus, he's got to pay a 7.5% commission. All of these numbers are 100% or all of what he needs. Whatever this total is, that's 100% of his needs. Right? So what I can do is I can say, well, look, if all of these numbers together are 100% of what he needs, then I also know that if you took off this 7.5%, if you take off this 7.5%, you'd be left with what? If we take 100 and we minus that 7.5%, won't that answer be this number to this number? It'll be this, this, and this. Does that kind of make sense? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 100 minus 7.5%. Well, if I said 100 minus 7, you would say 93. But it's 7.5%, so that gives me 92 and a half. I took this 100 and I subtracted out the 7.5, which gives me 92.5%. These numbers add up to 92.5% of what he needs. If Nicholas sells his house for the total of those numbers, he does not have any money to pay you a commission. It's not everything he needs. It's a portion of what he needs because a portion is a percentage. You got a 93% on the Master California exam, but you know it's just one test. Hey, but if you do 4 or 5 more tests and you get 90s on them, Caroline, you are ready. I know that, right? Tests that you've never seen before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 215 plus the 184,750 plus the 4,500, which gives me 215 plus 184,750 plus 4,500. That gives me 404, 250. Right? And then I'm going to take that 404, 250. And I know that 404, 250 is 92.5% of whatever the total price is. Does that kind of make sense? Right? I kind of went about this the long way because I wanted y'all to understand. But really, this is all about understanding percentages. If I said, ignore this for a second. If I said 50% plus 50% equals 100%, you knew that. So if I said, hey, what plus 60% equals 100%, you would tell me that answer is 40%. Right? If I said, hey, what number is plus 80% equals 100%? Well, you would tell me that number is 20. In this case, what we're saying is, hey, we had a 7.5% commission plus what to equal 100% of what the seller needed. Right? This seller needs 100%. Like he's got to get everything he needs. You have to get what you need. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So if we know of this 100%, 7.5% of what he gets has to go to the real estate firm, then we know this is going to be 92.5%. Does that kind of make sense? I'm hoping so. So we know if you add up all the other stuff, whatever that number is, and then you add that 7.5% to it, you would get 100% of your needs. So to solve, is that, I don't know. I'm hoping that makes sense to you. So to solve it up here, what I would do is 404, 250 divided by 92.5%, and that would give me 437.2702. So we're saying if you were to take $437,027.02 and multiply it by 92%, you would get 404,250. Yay, it does make sense. Yay. Cool. Awesome. All right, guys, I know. Oh, yeah, it's about time for me to go take stuff out the oven because, baking and cooking. So I'm not going to keep us all night. But remember, no class on Friday. But maybe I'll do an extended class on Wednesday. Would that help? Maybe do an extended class on Wednesday to make up for not having one on Friday? Or, oh, and guys, I found out that in order to go live on TikTok, I need to have more followers. So I'm going to put together something like a better name so that I can have followers on TikTok so that I can do this live on TikTok. So for those of y'all that can't be home at the right time, we can do that. So it's going to be a project. I'm going to have to help. You all are going to have to help me figure out how to build some followers on TikTok so I can go there live too. But either way, guys, I hope you have an amazing, absolutely amazing Thanksgiving. Mary, I don't know where you are in Michigan, but my sister just left and she said it's snowing here outside Detroit. I'm not thrilled with that. But I want you to be safe in the snow. And for everybody else that's in a warmer climate than me, to you. I'm jealous. And I will see you all in 1 week. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving and be safe. Bye, everybody. Doot. Oh, and sing a Christmas carol for me. Sing, I mean, it's almost Christmas. Sing, because I don't know of any Thanksgiving songs, but you